week, Marjorie Taylor Greene did an interview with CNN and they asked her about, like, well, do you think Trump might be implicated in this? Because why is he trying to hide the Epstein files, right? Well, she said that she talked to all the victims and all the victims never mentioned Trump. I find that hard to believe, and especially after Jeffrey Epstein's emails got released. And basically, he say right here, like, Trump asked Elaine to stop, and he knew about the girls. And with this interview with one of the Epstein survivors, she can't answer yes or no. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into this, y'all, because this is jaw-dropping. All right, so this interview is done by Jen Psaki from MSNBC, so let's get into it, you guys.
Joining me now is Sharlene Richard, an Epstein survivor who's speaking out and telling her story for the very first time tonight. And Sky and Amanda Roberts, the brother and sister-in-law of Virginia Giuffre, who have been fighting tirelessly for justice in her memory. I don't think we would be at this point we are today without their advocacy. Thank you, Sharlene, for being here with us today. I want to start by just asking you, you have been through so much and you have decided to share your story today. You spoke at a press conference on Capitol Hill today. It looked like you'd done it before, but and here you are to share your story. Why did you decide that now was the time you wanted to share what you've been through?
Because I finally feel safe to be able to come out and tell my story, and I feel that it's time. Today is a monumental day, and I feel like we're making history, and I want to support everybody, all the girls that are there, and Sky and Amanda and everybody who's already been involved.
All but one in the House voted to release the files, by the way.
With this and speaking out before me.
I was watching your faces today when Sharlene was talking, and so many of the other survivors, that you were not the only person who was speaking out for the first time today. It's so courageous what you did today and what you're here doing. And I was wondering what was going through your minds, because I know you think a lot about Virginia in these moments and how she inspired people, how she had the courage to come out. What was going through your mind when you were watching Sharlene talk this morning?
I felt Virginia. I felt Virginia in her voice, in Sharlene's story, and who she is. And I think she was there empowering every single one of them and every single one of us. And we just miss her so much physically, but having this bond and connection, I've gained so many sisters, and I'm so grateful for it.
And by the way, Virginia Giuffre is the one that they said unalived herself. She was one of the main ones that came out and spoke against Jeffrey Epstein. She even released a book. So she's kind of like been the spearhead for all of this. And unfortunately, she took her own life.
It was a beautiful and powerful moment, and I think Virginia stays alive through all of us.
There's no question about that, and we're all wearing butterflies right now. I know Virginia's story has impacted so many people because they could see their daughters and their sisters and their neighbors, and I know that's part of why you want to share your story too. I know this is incredibly difficult, so you can share what you want of your story. It's yours to share. Let me start by just asking you how you got involved in Epstein's world to begin with.
So I was modeling and traveling as a model, and I met him through a friend. He was heavily involved in the modeling system. I think I want to call it a system because even though we have an agent and that agent gets us jobs, it's considered a job, but it's also can be worked as a different kind of system for predators. And it's important that people are aware of that. And that's another reason why I'm speaking out is because I really want all the young girls and boys, this is anybody, and not even if you're underage, if you're older as well, to understand what a predator is, what the signs are. And
mind you, Jeffrey used some of the girls that he was trafficking to recruit other girls. It's literally like how they run the street corners. The same thing. They use the girls to get other girls. It's really sad.
And it's just very important.
One of the things that has been so striking about the PSA campaign and also the press conference today was the holding of photos of a lot of the people who spoke of when they were approached by predators, I should say. I stumbled over there because I wanted to say it in the right way. Well, you were young.
Mm-hmm.
You were in your teens?
Yes, I was in my early teens. Yep.
And you were modeling out there. And what, in your experience of what you were asked to do, I know that Epstein himself, of course, was a predator. Did you travel to the island?
Yes, I did. I was in New York, Miami, and on the island.
Did you travel to Mar-a-Lago?
Yes, I did.
Here we go.
And how did you arrive at Mar-a-Lago? How did you end up going to Mar-a-Lago? Did he send you there? Were you told to go there? How did that happen?
There were a lot of model parties at the Mar-a-Lago. Different people would set them up, different magazines, and a limo would come and you'd jump in the limo and you'd go.
When Trump had his modeling agency back in the 90s with John Casablancas, who's another predator, yeah, they would have parties where the grown men would be judging these teen girls and seeing who was the best one and who was going to get selected to be a part of this modeling agency or to win this competition or whatnot. And mind you, the girls would be partying. And it's all like, why are teenagers partying? Now, some of them were over the age of 18, but some of them were not. They were 14, 15-year-old girls. Yeah. It's hard to say that Trump didn't know, or it's especially the email that I just showed you guys in the beginning. The email that Jeffrey Epstein wrote that said Trump asked Ghislaine to stop, and he knew about the girls and what was going on.
Jeffrey Epstein or someone who worked for him would tell you to go there?
No. It was just a place where something was held, a party was held, and people would go to different events.
This is about so much more than one person, Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell or Donald Trump. But because Donald Trump is the person who, of course, owns Mar-a-Lago, I just have to ask if you think he was aware of that arrangement.
I don't know if he was aware. Actually, I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
You were in your teens. You were in your teens, yeah. And I think this is important for people to understand that people were in their teens and were young, and you were a young model, and you were.
So, mind you, she said, I don't think I can answer that. That's a yes or no. What kind of NDA does Trump have these people under? Because that should seem like a simple, yes or no. Let me rewind that back. That was awkward as hell.
Actually, I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
Well, let me take it a little bit back.
Is the person who, of course, owns Mar-a-Lago. I just have to ask if you think he was aware of that arrangement.
I don't know if he was aware. Actually, I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
You were in your teens. You were in your teens, yeah. And I think this is important for people to understand that people were in their teens.
Because I don't know, would have been like, oh, I don't know anything about that, not to my knowledge or something. But she said, I don't think I can answer that. Does anybody else find this weird? again, when I told you guys in the beginning that Marjorie Taylor Greene said she talked to all the victims and all the victims said Trump had nothing to do with it, I find that hard to believe, because if she can't answer this question just a simple yes or no, that lets me know that this thing is deeper than what we really know that it is. And the fact that she said, I don't think I can answer that, not that, oh, I'd rather not talk about it. I don't think I can answer that. Like, why can't you answer it?
And were young, and you were you were a young model, and you were handled by a predator. Let me ask you something else, because again, it's much bigger than a couple of people. Were you trafficked to other people?
Can I?
You can say yes, but you don't have to name names.
You
Right.
only share what
Sorry.
you want to share. You don't have to be sorry for anything. And I'm asking you this because I think it's important to understand, as people do understand about Virginia's story, that it's not about just one person or two people. It's much bigger than that. You can share whatever you want to share.
Terrible things had happened to me within my time with dealing with Jeffrey Epstein. I had encounters with people that I would rather not have.
I understand, and we've talked about this before, why you don't want to share names. And I think people like Sky and Amanda have educated all of us on the fear a lot of survivors have about litigation, about threats, about what can happen to your family. And Virginia, unfortunately, experienced a lot of that. I don't want to, can you share more?
Something, I don't know how to put this into words, and let me know if I'm out of pocket for saying this. I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the chat. Something about the whole survivors speaking makes me feel uncomfortable, because I feel like there's a certain ones that we see all the time and they're doing interviews. I'm not saying that they're less of a victim or anything like that. That's not where I'm going. And, they're willing to talk. And then you have some like Sharlene right here, who it seems like they're going with the flow and almost like they're forced to come out and speak publicly, but yet they're still going through their trauma with whatever happened, right? And then secondly, they're under this pressure of like, oh, I can't say too much. Like, I can't really say anything. And it's kind of like, I think it's not the right time nor place for the survivors to speak until those files get out there, or they're brought in for a hearing and they can tell their story freely, but with those implications that they can be sued or silenced by these rich, powerful people. Like, I don't think it's safe for them. And again, I did say, because I have to, that Virginia Giuffre, she unalived herself because that's what was reported, right? But people have felt uneasy about Virginia and her passing, because she was someone who said that she would not do that. And she got into like an accident, or she was hit by a bus or something like that. Y'all, I forgot. I think it was a bus. It could have been a car, but she was hit. She was in some kind of automobile accident. Yeah, it just all feels uneasy to me.
Or about why that's a fear that survivors have about sharing names or specifics, because it is a question a lot of people have out there.
Yeah. It shouldn't fall on the survivor's shoulders. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of people that just want them to release the names. They're like, well, you have the names, just do it. The problem with that is that these rich and powerful men they can sue you into homelessness, would be a big part of it, but B, it puts serious threat on your life and your family's life. There were times where my sister was sitting across people and they would push a picture of her own children in front of her and essentially say, I know where your kids go to school. I mean, I alone had own threats on me from
People
Jeffrey Epstein,
threatening her who had
a lot of money and a lot of power. And I think her memoir does a very good job of giving information without even having to say the names. If you do just a little bit of digging, you can figure out who these people are. But point being is there were still names up until the very end that she couldn't name because these people could, I mean, they still can come after these survivors, not just with litigation, but the fear of their life for their family and their friends and the people around them. They experience real threats.
And you have kids and you have kids. I know you're not going to share the names. And I think I wanted to make sure people understood why. Are these people, when the list is released, that people would know? Are they people who are famous in some capacity?
Yes.
And are there names out there that have not been out there yet
Yes.
that you were trafficked to?
There's names of people that are out there that are not on the list.
Yeah. Again, that gives me pause when she paused and couldn't just answer the question directly. Do you think Trump had, any knowledge of this or anything that was going on? And she couldn't just come out and say, oh yeah, I know X, Y, and Z, or yes or no. That, because again, a lot of the communication and like the girls were recruited or they had been to Mar-a-Lago. And, Jeffrey Epstein said that he wasn't a member there. Trump asked him to resign his membership, but he said, I'm not even a member. And he told Ghislaine to stop, and he knew about the girls. Very strange. Very strange. And again, I have to say allegedly because Trump has not been implicated. But again, this man was fighting so hard for the files not to be released, calling it a Democratic hoax, still calling it a Democratic hoax, but he's doing an investigation on Bill Clinton and a whole bunch of Democrats. Again, this isn't a partisan issue. Like, whoever did something wrong, whether it was Bill Clinton, whether it was this person or that person, they all need to go to jail. We don't care. If you did something wrong, you deserve to suffer the consequences. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and definitely go ahead and comment and let me know what you guys think about this whole interview. I love y'all for watching, but we out of here. Deuces, everybody. We out.